Hello and welcome to Connect and Collaborate. I'm Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer. And while I have the audience here and captivated, I need to make sure that you guys visit cobrt.com. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can check out all of our past shows on our media page and check out the events page while you're there. We have our legislative reception. That is the 6th annual reception coming up in November on November 12th. So be sure to sign up for that. I'm going to go ahead and get today's show started. I have in studio with me a recurring guest, Dr. Becky Takeda Tinker. She is the president and CEO of CSU Global. How are you, Becky?
Great, and thanks for having us here today.
Yes, absolutely. And I also have another guest in studio here with us. This is Rico Munn, superintendent of Aurora Public Schools. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having us here.
Yes, absolutely. So we are here. One of the good things that Colorado Business Roundtable does is focus on partnerships, right? So that's kind of a place that we have. And Becky, you are part of the board for COBRT.
Yes,
and,
very proudly.
Yes,
that
wonderful.
Organization is highly dynamic and fun, and so privileged to be a part of it. Thank you.
Yes, our pleasure to have you. It's always wonderful, and we like to make sure that in the education sector, we're really on top of it. And so that is the reason that we have you guys here today, is to talk about the recent CSU Global and APS partnership, not merger. That's a terrible word for this. That's a terrible word. But yes, partnership. But before we do that, I always like to give our guests a little bit of background from you guys that I have in studio. So Becky, I know you've been on with us before, but let's get just a little refresher from you.
Right. So as president and CEO of CSU Global, I'm the first president of that institution, and we have done some great work over the last 8 years. We've graduated over 18,000 students. We currently are serving about 20,000 in every U.S. state and territory and 60 countries now. So we are just continuing to figure out ways that we can serve and collaborate and work in the best interests of Coloradans and those in our nation and beyond.
Fantastic. I love hearing that. 60 countries. Congratulations. Yes. I feel like it's more every time you come in.
Yes. Our reach does continue to grow. As the premier provider of fully online education, CSU Global's reputation is truly world-renowned, and I'm really proud of the work that our faculty and staff do and the leadership that we have with the CSU system.
Yes,
well.
Absolutely. Well, Rico, you are new to the Connect and Collaborate show, so let's hear a little bit more about you. Start me off with your schooling, your career path, and did you always want to be a superintendent?
Well, that's a lot. Yeah. I'm what some people call a non-traditional superintendent. I'm a lawyer by training and background. I practiced commercial litigation with a large national firm with an office here in Denver for 12, 15 years. Then also worked in the Ritter administration as the head of the Department of Regulatory Agencies and the head of the Department of Higher Education, and was an elected official for a number of years with the State Board of Education. But several years ago, the opportunity came along to consider and compete for this role as the superintendent of the Aurora Public Schools, and I was honored to do so, and honored that I was given that opportunity, and I'm now in my 7th school year there.
Fantastic. I might say something a little offensive here, but I think the majority of people would think that going into a superintendent role might be a step back, having been in litigation, right? What are your thoughts to combat that type of mentality?
I think they haven't done it.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah. Running a large school district is a lot like running a small city. We have 40,000 students, 5,000 employees. We have billions of dollars of real estate assets. I've got a police force. I've got a bakery. And we've got an $800 million budget that we have to appropriately manage with taxpayer dollars. We serve students from 130 countries speaking 160 languages. So it's an exciting, dynamic job. It's a very demanding role for myself, but for everybody in our entire system, from our first grade teachers to our bus drivers to the role that I have.
Fantastic. When I like that you're sharing the wealth there with that. Everyone does put a lot of time in, especially when it comes to education.
Certainly.
Yes.
And if I could just share, his work within the district since he has taken over, you ought to share some of the outcomes because they're dramatic and so positive.
Yeah, well, we're very excited. We've had a lot of great momentum in the district over the last several years. Over the last 5 years, our graduation rates have increased 25 percentage points.
Wow.
We have eliminated the graduation gap between different demographics, our students. We've improved significantly around the state assessment framework. We've had 5 years of achievement improvement, and we've dramatically decreased our incidences of discipline in the district, going from roughly over 200 expulsions a year to last year we had about 35.
That's so impressive. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Those are numbers that you should be very proud of. And again, those are within the last 5 years, so within your 7-year reign.
We've done some really great work, and again, we've got a tremendous team that's really focused and working with the community, and we've had some great community support. This last year, the community endorsed a mill campaign that allow us to get a lot more mental health supports into our schools, which is incredibly important, and also increase our kind of security and safety environment in the district.
Mental health is definitely one of those avenues that I think we need to really focus on. And it's wonderful to see that you guys are taking those steps. But talking about community, right? CSU Global is now a part of that community.
Yeah, we're very excited to have this partnership and to have them, physically in our community. It's something we've been working on for 3 years to make this happen, and it's finally a real thing. If you go out to 6th and Airport, 6th and Buckley, you'll see their beautiful buildings sitting there, and they are now fully moved in, and we've got our partnership up and going.
Yeah, so let's talk about this partnership. First of all, where was this idea born from? Was it simply to spread your wings as far as campuses are concerned, or was this strategically placed in Aurora?
Yep. CSU Global looks for opportunities to serve. And during a discussion that Superintendent Munn and I had, he was really focused, as he is, he can be intense, finding ways to make college going a real reality for the kids in his district. And so he was the one that approached me about what can we do? And well, I think the question was really, can you provide a bunch of free scholarships? And I said, we're a state nonprofit, so if we did it for you, we'd have to do it for everybody. Let's talk about how we might have a different type of really close relationship. And I think the idea was then born.
Yeah. So tell me, obviously, good for you, first of all, for going ahead and just asking, right? Just give us some money. Give us some definite
free
pathways,
scholarships.
right?
And it wasn't just one. It was, we need a bunch because we have, I forgot how many students do you have in the district?
40,000.
Yeah, so it was a lot. And I thought, how are we going to make a dent in that? But he's figured out a way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, and for Becky to call me intense, I think is...
All right, granted.
Yeah.
Good call.
Well, yeah, 2 intense people. I would imagine that this project is no less than 5 stars then. So this is the first year that we've got the campus up. Yeah. So walk me through the 3 years here, because I imagine that you had to do a ton of planning, first of all, just for construction, let alone who's going to be entering this. Do we want to give priority to students? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think, in talking about partnerships, I mean, this is a great example of 2 willing partners really kind of laying out the steps that need to happen and doing the hard work. Because in order for this to happen, we had to pass a bond campaign, a taxpayer measure in our community. We had to change state law, and we had to get the federal government to sign off on it. And then
First of all, sorry, but kudos to you for getting taxes raised in Aurora.
Well, the community is incredibly supportive of our work, and so I think our community understands it's an investment in their kids in the future. But we really, as we approached a potential bond campaign in 2016, said, how can we best utilize the community's resources and investment in this community? And so we came up with a couple of ideas for kind of public-public or public-private partnerships where we could really leverage those taxpayer dollars. And this concept of being able to build a building that we could then lease to a higher ed institution, and that institution could pay its lease in kind in scholarships and other credits for education. And then knowing CSU Global as I do, I've been on the board of the CSU system for a number of years, and that is ending. But knowing them, I knew that was an opportunity that at least was worth a conversation because Becky gets things done. Yes. And she gets things done in a creative way that that some other people aren't willing to entertain. And so we engaged in that, and we had to go to the state in order to get the law changed. And we were very thankful that folks like Senator Nancy Todd and others were willing to step up and support that effort in order to allow that to happen. So we are now in a place where the building was done on time and under budget. And we had a lovely ribbon cutting and everything, a month or two ago, and CSU Global's now moved in. In this last May, we were able to award the first scholarships to students to go there. But in addition to the scholarships, the partnership facilitates reduced tuition rates for any APS graduate and also APS staff member to attend CSU Global.
Ooh. And CSU Global is not only very proud to be able to be a part of the APS Aurora Public School District community, but also the community in general. When we think about the city, Rico referred to the federal government approval. Well, we're right next to the Air Force Base, Beckley Air Force Base. That's a huge population that we serve. We're highly regarded by the American Legion and by active military for what we do and the level of quality of our fully online degree programs, the affordability, and the fact that they're all geared towards career and workplace success. So we are very strong partners already with that type of population, but to be seriously right next door to them now will allow us to have more interactions. A lot of the senior leadership have come over to our new space. They do have sometimes off-site needs, and we have lots of open space, meeting space that we are opening up to the community. We've already booked, oh my gosh, I have 7 events going on within the next 30 days.
Wow.
Including college track, and they're doing a whole training program for 160 of their counselors.
That's great.
Which helps DPS and APS. We have the Aurora Defense Council and all the military contractors, as well as active military members coming in as well. So it is a space for the community. And when we at CSU Global think about how do we serve, and Rico mentioned the 130 races, I guess nationalities, countries, and the 160 languages, CSU Global serves internationally. We understand, importantly, how to transfer international credit. So for those that have moved into Aurora that may have some university credit, we can transfer that and apply it towards their bachelor's degree. So we've got the military, we have the population that's very global, we have military contractors in business and industry, healthcare, all areas that we serve in terms of upskilling towards certificate programs or degree programs, should there be that need as well. And the Community College of Aurora, great school. We know that their students do really well with us upon transfer. So it is a community where we can really collaborate and think about how do we innovatively help people to be able to earn a living wage through education.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't think your lease allowed you to help DPS.
That was a disclaimer, I guess, that they forgot to add into the contract. But how wonderful that they feel welcome to come. Everybody loves the space. The building is beautiful. And for any of your listeners who'd like to come by and see us, they just need to reach out on www.csuglobal.edu, and we will make arrangements for that. But we are also entertaining the academy interviews for the military academies there. So that's going to be the community coming in with their friends and family and parents, and then the kids coming in for the interview. So we will be also hosting that in the space. So thank you, Rico, for providing this opportunity that we've been really excited to do, and now we're actually executing.
Yes. This is wonderful to hear. It's very heartwarming. I got to ask you, because I talk a lot of education in this room, and what I tend to talk about are educators and educational institutions partnering with businesses. But this is the first time I think I've had 2 educational institutions partnering together. And so I'm curious, and we talked a little bit about why you partnered together is because you have the same reach and the same goals to educate our future, right? But why seek out other educational institutions rather than seeking a business that may have more money or may have more access to government officials that can get these write-offs for you? Talk a little bit about that, because I'm sure you also have business partnerships.
Yeah, and we have very active business partnerships, but for us, there's really one goal. It's about our students shaping successful futures, and that includes an opportunity for college and career readiness. And so business is a wonderful partner, but they don't give out four-year degrees.
All right, yeah.
And so that was really our goal here, and our driver was to how do we provide further educational opportunities for our community. And CSU Global was a great partner for that.
Yeah.
And for CSU Global, we have, about 2,000 business industry partners that we collaborate for all of our programming to make sure what we are offering is relevant. But when we think about Colorado and its future, what better partner, a willing partner, would be than a school district that understands how we can work and bring up the next generation of leaders for Colorado, and to be able to work with the K-12 and all of their staff and faculty to think how we can collaborate together really just makes good sense. As a nonprofit state institution, we are here to serve. So it's not about money. Money's always nice. It helps you innovate and helps us be able to afford all the technology that we do. But our actual work and where the impact actually matters is with the people. And to be able to have that impact, even if it's through the teachers and the staff in the Aurora Public School District, as they help the kids below them and help bring up everybody, all boats rise.
Yes, absolutely. So as we know, anytime you merge onto a partnership and you, especially if you're working on getting a new campus building, right? We got a lot of red tape that we got to cut through. I imagine that there were a few challenges along the way. So talk to me a little bit about how you overcame some of those challenges, and maybe perhaps a little bit of advice for any other companies or educators that are looking to do a partnership like this.
Well, I think the key challenge we had to overcome was, anytime you want to innovate, by definition, there are people who don't necessarily understand the concept, don't understand what you're trying to accomplish, and are more comfortable in whatever the traditional framework and structure is. So it was about, and we talked about the different steps we had to go through with the community and the legislature, educating everyone around what were we trying to accomplish and why was that a good thing. But I think as most people started to hear and understand from both of us and our institutions what we were trying to do and how we were trying to serve the community, people got excited about that and people got on board. So a lot of the things we had to overcome, I think, were more about just getting people to sit down and understand it. There was not as much objection as much as there was help me understand why, and why is this a good use of resources and dollars.
How much convincing did you truly have to do? How much of those 3 years? About a year?
I've got two middle schoolers, and I'm used to being in the business of convincing these days. So in relative terms, it seemed easy, but it took some time, it took some process, but really, I think because of the energy that Becky and her team brought to it and that we brought to it, people were quickly on board. Now we had to go through a campaign. We had to go through a bond campaign, which included a lot of other things in our community, so it was part of a much bigger conversation. But the bond campaign was incredibly successful. It was one of the highest rated bond campaigns in the state in its passage rate. In the legislature, I don't recall what the vote was, but it was an overwhelming vote in support of this.
To change the law to allow us to pay Aurora Public School District rent, right? Any K-12 district,
Right.
which was the issue.
Yeah.
But yes, Rico's got an amazing ability to not only have tenacity, which I do, but the understanding the process and the communication that he does. I tend to try to demonstrate that we can do things, and he helps talk through with people what can be done. So having equal amounts of determination and grit matters. And then having skill sets that are a little different really also works in good partnerships. I think that the team at CSU Global is able to innovate and think outside the box and create solutions for challenges that it sees. So having challenges in front of us is never the issue. But being able to work with a partner that is similarly enthusiastic and truly dedicated to make something happen is where we perform at our best. And so I'm grateful for the entire district and the staff and faculty and RICO for coming together with us and trusting that we really can do this and do it well and have a vision for how we can be a really successful partner in the community that has embraced us. We are so grateful. In today's world of technology, AI, robotics, where everything's being driven outside of human interaction, to be able to be part of a community where that is a real value in that group, in that area. And so I think the city of Aurora has got this interesting ability to still value and really leverage human relationships that I haven't seen in some of the other parts of the metro area. Not that it isn't happening,
Right.
but they are very still community based, and we truly are grateful to be able to be a part of that community. And so however we can serve, we are doing it by notice of our full calendar for the next 30 days. Who knows what's coming out as next?
And that's a good reminder. I mean, in building this partnership, really, the Aurora Chamber of Commerce, the Aurora Economic Development Corporation were instrumental in coming alongside of us and helping the business community understand, helping elected officials understand that this was valuable, because purely on the commercial side of things, we've brought a number of primary, high-tech jobs into the city of Aurora through this partnership, and I think that's very exciting.
Yeah, and more to come. We're going very deep into cybersecurity, more technology, K-12 and education, and what we could do to help with the teacher shortage in that district, and how we make it getting licensure more accessible, more affordable.
Yes.
Not only through the special discounts that we've been able to extend to the district, but also in innovation, because we know that they have a challenge, and how do we help address that? So it is really fun. We love challenges everywhere we go, and how do we solve those? And whenever we hear from APS what they need, we are able to step in, Pickens Tech, and some of the needs that they have when we think about transferability of trade credit. How important today is trade, right? We need experienced tradespeople, and they do a great job. Now, how do we upskill when and if they're ready to, without losing all that credit? And CSU Global is creating new pathways to be able to accommodate that as well.
I love hearing that. And you took the next question right out of my mouth. I was going to ask more about the future, but that's wonderful to hear. I, too, am a part of Aurora. That is where I live, actually, and so I did vote yes on that bond, by the way.
Appreciate that.
Yes. I was hoping that my one vote counted, but it sounds like it was an overwhelming win.
Every vote counts.
Absolutely. But yeah, in these last few minutes here, we know that you have 7 events in the next 30 days and way more to come after that. What's your goal for the next year with this new building?
Well, our goal is to get more students, and families who understand this opportunity. We have effectively eliminated the barrier for our students as far as cost for four-year education. Now, it's not appropriate for everybody. Not everybody fits into the online environment. Some people really want to go to football games on the weekends, and that's great. But for kids who location is an issue, or perhaps cost is somewhat of an issue, we've responded and addressed that, and that's exciting. So making sure that people really understand that. So events like Becky's talking about, getting more people into the building, even though they're not really going to be in the building, but understanding that there are real people behind this, and that this is a
we're not robots.
Exactly.
At least not yet.
and people who care about them and their future is incredibly important in a community like ours. And so really that familiarity is going to be important here over the next year.
Fantastic.
And for us, it's to be able to understand and support all the different stakeholders that are in the Aurora city, and to understand more what it is that the school district needs that we could actually help provide. And when we think about college going, for a parent and a kid, or one or the other, or both, coming in and asking how to fill out a FAFSA, which are those difficult financial aid forms, even if they're not going to CSU Global, we're good. We want to be able to help. We want to make college going a priority for the district and the kids, and accessible. So maybe they don't go right away, but they understand that they can, and that we're there to help, and that they feel comfortable coming in our doors and getting that help would be tremendous in terms of our ability to have bridged that gap. So yes, we're fully online, but yes, we're real people, and we are truly there to serve. So we are excited about what we can accomplish within the next year.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you both so much. This has been such a pleasure having you on. I love hearing about these partnerships and making sure that our community stays together and that we can provide a future of work for these kids. So lovely to hear all about this. And thank you so much for joining us today. Be sure to like and subscribe our YouTube page while you're here. You can find all of the information that we talked about in the description below. So be sure to click on that link. You can find all of our past shows at cobrt.com/radio-podcast. Thank you both so much. Have a
Thanks,
wonderful
Alex.
day.
Thank you, Alex.